This episode of The General's Gentleman is sponsored by Offworld Trading Company, a truly innovative RTS focused on market manipulation, advanced economic management, and corporate sabotage. Profit from the life support needs of the colonists and bankrupt your friends in the process.
Welcome to The General's Gentleman.
Hello and welcome back to Company of Heroes 2. Joining me once again, my man Tenchi.
Yep, back in action. It is you and I, Callum, brothers in arms. We have traversed many battlefields together, and many more shall come, but here we are now on Arnhem Checkpoint, in this 1 versus 1. We have our 2 players, so in good fashion, let's go ahead and do it like we do in StarCraft. Introducing our first player down in the south, representing the Soviet faction, it is going to be Kpen.
In the north, wearing the red trunks, our OKW player, Orangepest.
That was good.
That was
Callum.
StarCraft fashion. You big
yeah,
fan?
dude, that was good. That was great, man. I really like that. That was good. Why don't people do that more when they're casting? Because I've been watching some casts, you know, and it's very seldom they actually go ahead and introduce the players. Like, why is that? You know?
I don't know. Yeah, I think it's interesting. And it also, like, it's the filler, because in a Company of Heroes game, the first minute is generally a drag. There isn't really much to talk about. So having 20 seconds talking about introducing the players is a good way to kind of fill that time.
Right.
But other than that, I mean, the other good in the caster trick is talk about the map. But actually, this is going to be a little bit interesting here, because if you rotate the camera, there's only one window on that side where the Stimpires are firing. So you can actually flush that building out very easily, even if it's like an actual squad of, say, conscripts inside of the building. Because it's the lorry there with a heavy cover, it's a good engagement there. So we see Kpen doesn't fight that, pretty intelligent. He actually backs away, keeps the squad on the field to try and cap up points instead.
I like this as well, that what he's done here with these engineers, he's put the wire on the northern side here behind this building. I'm tilting my camera so you can see, effectively blocking the exit point. He didn't finish those up, so they were actually taken out there by the Stormpires. But still, I really like the idea, and again, we're seeing the same thing. He's setting up some half-finished or unfinished razor wire around this heavy cover. It's just a cute little move, just... I guess there are things like that that sort of create the distinction between someone who's okay at the game and someone who's like really good at the game. But I'm not calling Kpen really good, by the way, guys, so just a disclaimer.
Yeah, you wouldn't want that being open to the public, that you've said something nice about Kpen. Other than that, though, wow, those conscripts got absolutely murdered. Negative cover from the Sturm Pioneers and that Kubelwagen as well. It's a great map for the Kubel. It's very open, very big. There's a lot of cutoffs which you can take as well. And basically, any map with lots of roads does well for light vehicles. It's very hard to chase them down with just infantry because they're very fast. But we'll see if Orangepest can actually use this to do more decapping, because currently he actually has more territory than Kpen.
Fuel is somewhat late, though, I want to mention here, for Kpen. He's grabbing it now, but he's being disconnected here. Orangepest doing a good job in decapping that. Like you were talking about, all of these cutoff points very, very important on this map. And it's really going to start hurting Kpen. As you can see, Orangepest, he's doubling his opponent in fuel. He's also adding in his 4th Grenadier squad. Regardless, though, if I was on the Axis side of things, I'd be feeling very comfortable right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty late retreat, though, with the Volks, but they should get out. No problems here. Conscripts, one of the worst squads at actually wiping on retreat. And this will finally be the fuel point. Whoa, the Kubel goes down!
That guy had a very strong arm. It amazes me, like as you just poke into range and then get out of range, they still get projectiles like that off.
Yeah, where they track around corners. It is kind of bizarre.
Has truly come a long way.
The engineer squad is actually the weakest squad I've ever seen. Finally drops a model. But the problem here for Kpen, he hasn't got any munitions, and that's going to really deny him mines, which is very important, especially demo charges. A map with lots of buildings generally involves lots of demo charges as well, and it is one of the strongest things about Soviets, is their ability to just wipe squads by hitting a button and denying those key garrisons. But without any munitions, he won't have the ability to do so. Orangepest pushing up this cutoff as well.
I'm loving this aggressive play from Orangepest, man. This is exactly in fashion of how I like playing any game, honestly. Just in your face, very aggressive. Just as soon as your opponent gives you any sort of ground to move, you just emphasize and and capitalize on that and just go go go. And so Orangepest, man, he's going on me a little bit. I see him in chat from time to time, and I'll let him know that I definitely like what I'm seeing now. Close range exchange here between these conscripts, Vet 1 and the Volks. But it doesn't look as if Kpen is going to be taking that exchange very well. Again, Orangepest, he's holding the charge. He's got another squad firing from the northern side by those sandbags. And Kpen is just pushed up into the corner, still going for the cutoff here, so that there's no fuel income really for Kpen.
The biggest mistake here is Kpen went for his Minesweeper. He really needed the Flamer, because he can't clear out these garrisons. Even dislodging the sandbags with the Volks is going to be difficult. And yeah, the Minesweeper, you obviously want to have a Minesweeper at some stage, but you don't necessarily need it that early, especially if you're that pushed back. So I feel like that's going to really let him down. That being said though, he has got his Dushka, so once he actually gets something, it should be easy for him to hold it.
So Lend-Lease, just as you mentioned, the Dushka there is what Kpen is playing. Orangepest not going for Commander. But he has teched up now towards tier 3, so expect the Lukes to show up.
Yeah, the mechanized, generally referred to as the tier 2. It's kind of...
I don't know, that's kind of skewed to me, because for me, you start at tier 1. Like, that's what you have it, you know?
Well, people call it the HQ.
Tier 2, tier 3, tier 4.
It's just like HQ, tier 1, tier 2. That's generally the way it goes.
Fuck,
I know what you're saying, though. You're right. It is kind of confusing, but... That's what everyone calls it. I just wanted to point that out, because then everyone's going to be like, what? Where's the Panzer headquarters?
Yeah, no, you're right, man. It's better that I learn the right terminology than anything. But okay, so tier 2 is what we saw there out of Orangepest, and there we have the Lukes on the way. And still, you know, Kpen, he's really struggling. Now, finally, he's going to go again, try to push his opponent off this fuel. But these Stonepires, man, those STGs just tearing his conscripts to shreds in the open. And Kpen is still... Even with the Dushka on the field, not really finding any traction here so far, Callum. It's not looking good.
I love this Panzer II, even despite having the AT grenades already unlocked, because, again, the roads, they're so fast, it's really hard to chase it down, and just because of how behind Kpen is in resources, he's going to be he's far away from getting his own T-70 or getting his own Su-76. So for quite some time, this Panzer II is going to be uncontested, especially since Kpen, he's gone for his Dushkas, actually a double Dushka as well, which hasn't been revealed yet. And the Dushka has the AP ammo, but it's not going to do much versus the armor of the Panzer II. And especially on a map with so much brutal cutoffs, if you can force your opponent off and take that cutoff, it's very hard for them to recover. AT grenade does come through. So
I don't know, that to me just isn't worth it. You're wasting the munitions, you've got the Stonepires there for the repairs, and you know, as he's doing that animation, some of those guys aren't even engaging anything, so that to me just is a very risky move. But now Kpen, he's moving up, he's finally gaining some ground using these Dushkas to just lock down any territory that he takes. But as you were saying, man, even though he does have those AP rounds, the Panzer II, the Lukes, unless it's facing its rear armor towards those Dushkas, shouldn't be taking all too much damage. And Orangepest is still in a dominating position because we're not seeing any sort of anti-armor past those 80 grenades and AP rounds available here for Kpen to tackle that armor.
He doesn't even have a tier 2 or a tier 1. All he has is HQ. There's a bit of manpower as well. Tier 2 plus the Zisk gun, I believe it's 500 manpower, so it's certainly an investment if you don't have any buildings. With the AT grenade though, the thing is if he didn't throw the AT grenade, the P2 could just chase him on retreat, and with a negative cover, he could have actually wiped that squad. So generally, you have to go for that Faust or the Snare, just because otherwise you can actually get wiped. And also, even if it isn't going to achieve much, landing a Panzerfaust or an AT grenade actually gives the squad a lot of veterancy if you look at the XP bar. So a lot of players will just run up and throw a Snare and retreat anyway, just because it does give them some significant veterancy.
Oh, I didn't think about that. That's a good thing to point out.
Like if you look at any vehicle damage, like say if you get like a bazooka or a Shrek, that squad vets up incredibly fast once they start firing at vehicles.
Yeah, that's true. So I guess, you know, the same thing applies for those handheld or thrown AT measures. But again, Kpen's still struggling to hold on to this fuel or even wrestle control from Orangepest. He's been holding double fuel for the longest time, Callum. Now, as you can see, Kpen has got a little bit of a fuel bank going at 107, oh sorry, 103. But as you said before there, he didn't really have any sort of tech structures going. The only thing he's got there is the support. Now he's finally invested into that. But manpower is an issue here. He doesn't really have a lot to work with. And I don't know, man. Like, I guess he's holding the fuel for that M4C Sherman. But with the amount of fuel that we're seeing out of Orangepest, he's actually going to be going for that decisive Fuss. And I'm still just feeling that the position that Kpen's in is quite dire, to be honest.
Yeah, so Kpen, he's pretty low on command points. It's going to take him a long time to get his Sherman. He's probably better off going tier 3, getting an SU-76, and then going for his Sherman. One option that he does actually have, which would be very nice if he went for it, is because this is the winter balance preview, the PTRS penals are now an option. And ordinarily, PTRS penals wouldn't do too much on their own against the Panzer II, but if he actually combos that with the M5 half-track assault group, you can have the PTRS penals inside of the half-track, and it's actually pretty good versus the Panzer II. The problem with that is the half-track costs 540 manpower because it comes with a squad of guards. So that was one option, which was very expensive for him. He goes for a third Dushka, okay, rather than going for a Zis gun. It can work though, so long as the Dushkas are in buildings, because then the Panzer II can't really stay with them. But this is a really nice response by Orangepest. He knows the buildings are a problem. He goes for the Stuka, which actually doesn't do too much. No, just kidding. It actually gets a Dushka, gets one wipe, and I believe 4 conscripts as well.
So it is going to be hurting the manpower a little bit there. Get some bleed going, but still, again, still not. He's not going to be able to deal with this Lux for a little bit. He did force those Panzer Fusiliers off the map though, which is very nice. Which is also a good piece of information here for Kpen to work with Zenoin, because he knows now that he's going to be up against that heavy armor that can hit the field, the Jagd Panther or the Jagd Tiger. Pardon me. I wish the Jagd Panther was in this game, man. It's like one of my favorite vehicles.
Yeah, I know, it was so good. I mean, you never see the Jagd Tiger in 1v1. It's just not worth it because it's too expensive, it's too immobile, it gets flanked way too easily. So if you are going to see the heavy armor, it will certainly be the King Tiger. The Jagd Tiger, like the Elephant, it's just a
why would he go for this commander then? Because I feel like sure, Panzer Fusiliers are good at long range and you get the assault artillery, but wouldn't just Scavenge Doctrine be so much stronger here? Because with all of these buildings, you can call in the Jaeger Light, you've also got the Ostwind, which would deal very well with exactly everything that Kpen has on the field. I don't know, I just feel that would be a better option here. Maybe,
yeah, I
maybe
agree.
You have some other thoughts.
I think Fusiliers are one of the most underrated squads in the game, but there isn't really anything else on this commander that would benefit him. And with the Scavenge, not only do you get the Jaegers, which are also very good, but the Ostwind is the main thing, because it allows you to go for the battle group after your mech. So you delay your tech, but you still get that powerful medium tank out very early on, which is going to be forcing away the infantry. And the Scavenger arty is very good, so that would have been nice. The Fusiliers, they're 6-man squads, so they're ultra durable for the Axis. Powerful with the G43 upgrades, which he's going for now, but that's all he has from this commander.
Yeah, so it's like a little lackluster for the investment of going for a commander like that, committing. Anyway, though, Kpen is actually starting to push things up a little bit here to the center of the map. Again, with its support of the Dushka, he will be able to finally flush out these troops on the right-hand side. Perhaps he'll be able to, for like the first time in a good 10 minutes, control that fuel. Another barrage going down. It is going to be getting some decent connections here. Almost wipes the squad. But we'll be dodging that at the very last second, and Luce getting right on top of this Dushka. Is he going to be able to wipe this? I don't know. They're clumping up a decent amount here, but here we go. Conscripts popping Ura, going to be darting forward. Can they get the AT grenade off? No, sir. Orangepest staying on top of his game, controlling that Luce quite well so far.
So Orangepest doesn't have his battle group, so he's lacking medics, which he's suffering from, but he does have access to the Stim Pioneer medical crates, which I really hope he uses, because he definitely needs to heal his squad. There we go, finally using them. Needs to heal up his squads. They are incredibly good. 30 munitions, you can heal 3 squads up to full, and the fact that you can do it on the run as well, you can pick up the crates and then actually move out on the field, so you don't have to sit in base healing up like you do with your traditional medics. It's very expensive to drain 10 munitions every time you want to heal a squad, but it does give you a lot more usability of the mechanized, where in the live version of Coh2, not only does it require 40 munitions, but the Stim Pioneers also need to be Vet 1, so you rarely see that ability used.
Yeah, that's true. I'm actually, again, you know, another of those very underused abilities. Like, even if you have the Battle Grouper up, just, as you were saying, you know, healing up in the field can be vital at times in this game. Now, again, what are we having here? Just the Luke there applying some pressure to the building. On the left-hand side, the demo charge has gone down on this munitions point, so let's see if Orangepest happens to walk into that one at some point. But again, now he's upgraded. G43 is here for these Panzer Fusiliers, which is going to give them so much more firepower. And this conscript squad at half HP should... Yeah, they're probably going to have to fall back at some point.
Kpen's done well though. He's got his cut-off back, he's got his VP. He has been drained down considerably on VPs. And he hasn't had the fuel for very long, but that's fine. Because of his call-in, his M4C Sherman. And he has to worry about Orangepest getting his Panzer IV out pretty soon, but with the Stuka, we'll delay that. Let's see how much damage it actually does, though. Ooh. Only 2 models.
Underwhelming. Forcing the Drushka out of the church as well with an incendiary grenade. Many of these squads for Kpen, they're actually quite low, so needs to be very careful with those. Now, 180 grenade will end up going off. Perhaps no, he's going to force a retreat. At the same time, though, so many of these Dushkas will suppress the squad in mid, so, I mean, Kpen, he doesn't have to worry about the left-hand flank, and he's finally secured the fuel, and will now be able to perhaps grab this VP, but with these Panzer Fusiliers, again, another half-health conscript squad, I don't think he's not going to be able to stick around for too long, man. I don't know, yeah, Kpen has healing at home, but he's just got all of these low squads all over the map.
One of the biggest problems here for Kpen is his conscripts just won't scale up versus the Volks Grenadiers. Ziskan going to be running into the arc of the Panzer II, going to be running into the arc of the Ziskan. Can he get a nade off nearby as well? 2 shots come through, duking out on the water fountain. He gets behind the arc now of the building. The AP ammo is being popped here. The rear arm's exposed briefly, but won't be enough for that P2 to go down.
Oh, so close. If he managed to kill that, that would have effectively shut down any sort of mobile QRF unit here for the Axis side. Kpen gets pushed off on the right, VP by the way, just a quick mention, and now he finally starts pulling back some of these very low HP squads. Tier 3, getting it right this time, setting up here on the far left, and well, should just be seeing that P4 come out shortly, you know, to just sort of finish the composition here for Orangepest, who's still just throughout this entire game, Callum, he's been maintaining pretty much 90% map control.
Yeah, the only threat that Orangepest has is an M4C Sherman rocking up.
Oh, far left.
Oh, nice.
There we go.
That's actually a big deal because there's only 4 squads for Orangepest, which is now the same as Kpen, let alone all the Dushkas. And he can't scale as well as these Volks, and especially not as well as those Panzer Fusiliers. So if he can get wipes like that, he has a chance, but the threat that Orangepest has to be careful of is the M4C hitting the field and just going after that Stuka, wiping it down instantly. It's going to be a con squad surviving the grenade, and these buildings are incredibly low. They can't survive many more barrages or grenades even.
The Dushka was also, he got out right at the last moment there in that charge, so didn't lose anything. The only impact that the Stukas first had there was that he forced Kpen back, but again, you know, he's darting into the church once more with that Dushka, dealing a lot of damage to the infantry holding those buildings on the left-hand side of the town square. And even though he's finally starting to actually contest the right side, he still doesn't really have any sort of hard counters available, you know, to deal with this Panzer II.
Orangepest needs mines. He's going to be a little bit vulnerable here. Only has 1 Raketen. His squads are pretty low. The negative cover means that the squads can get gunned down very quickly by the Pintle on this Sherman. And the Sherman's good versus infantry regardless. So he definitely needs to get a lot more robust anti-tank. Whether it's a Panzer IV, which he's pretty close to getting, but certainly just get some more mines on the field. Don't overextend with his Stuka or his Panzer II. And he should be okay here. But Kpen's going to have the resources for a second Sherman as well. He also has his fuel supply drop, which you can use to get more fuel, but right now that fuel's probably better off as demos or mines.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, as you said, you know, second M4C Sherman, once that hits the field, Kpen is going to have a lot of maneuverability to this army, because he can just complement that with the squads in between for infantry support, and with the Dushkas locking down any ground and instantaneously suppressing any squads who show themselves in the open. Then, you know, this is probably when Kpen is going to be at his strongest, when he can emphasize this armor advantage, because we're still not seeing anything on the production tab here for Orangepest. He's about 15 fuel off from that Panzer 4. There we go, Panzer 2. Quite exposed. The Sherman is going to roll on forward. Those Fusiliers getting instantaneously suppressed.
Oh. Well, they're pinned. They get crushed. If a squad's pinned, you just drive over them and they die. We saw 3 of them get crushed there by the Sherman. And yeah, these Shermans are going to be offering a lot of map pressure now. Stuka will be firing.
So going to go. It's probably going to go for those 80 guns. Oh, this is actually a really good hit. It has potential to be. Just 2 models. What is this?
We're seeing a lot of those. Those glancing blows where it's so close, just killing everything. It only gets 1 or 2 models. But sooner or later, the Stuka will wipe down these support weapons, and I'm surprised that it hasn't done as much damage. I'm surprised it hasn't done more damage than what it has at the moment. It will be a second Raketen for Orangepest, which is very, very clever. And Orangepest, he has the fuel for his Panzer 4, but I feel like he's probably going to be going for a Panther. And I think that's actually smarter, because 2 Shermans can definitely just gangbang that Panzer 4.
Yeah, whereas the Panther, strong, more powerful gun, better gun range as well. We're definitely in the same boat here, man. Panther will be what he's going for, as you said, man. Like, he's saving up that fuel, but he is struggling a little bit here dealing with these Sherman tanks. Second Raketen, I mean, he needs to combo those, and if he could also
the right
get
VP, Tenchi, the right VP. Oh, another
no.
wipe.
Oh, there we go again. The second squad going down to those demo charges. It's so painful, because that's one of the struggles, right, as Axis up against Soviets. You need to have those. You need to have these support squads with the minesweepers, you know, babysitting all of your infantry. Oh, he needs to be very careful about this building, though.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. That's okay. Losing that. What is that? A Vet 3 Sturmpire squad with Treks.
Yeah.
That might just be game ending.
To finish off your train of thought, Tenchi, it was actually a big mistake with the Shrek. He really should have gone for the sweeper, because he knew the demos were an issue, and he just wasn't sweeping any because he had a Shrek. And yeah, it's really hard on a map of this spread out to try and cap all those points when demos can just wipe all your squads. And the demos actually encourage blobbing. It's something that I really hate about them is because of the fact that they wipe individual squads so easily. Instead you want to blob with your sweeper, and it actually has the inverse effect of what you would think they would when you first look at them. That being said, though, there are ways to play around the demos. What you generally want to do, if you
Callum,
think...
hold that thought, man. We've got a big flank coming up on these Raketenwerfers. They're going to be forced off the map, and this is going to give Kpen a lot of room. He could probably just drive into the face of his opponent.
He's firing his Stuka, which reveals it for the Sherman, and the Sherman's going for the dive. There was a few good hits there, but could be the dead Stuka, and with that Stuka down, I think that's going to be all she wrote for Orangepest. Raketens are setting up, though. The Fusiliers have the nade. One hit comes through onto the Stuka. The Sherman on the chase. Ring around the Rosie. There is the Stuka. He's dead now. Sherman running for his life behind the little trees. The Raketen, they're trying to fight through it, but they can't. Oh, no, there's Panzer 2!
No,
he missed.
No! Oh, that is so close. If he loses, that's everything that he has in this map to work with, honestly, because losing not only those vetted Volk squads, he lost the Sturmpires, a veteran C3 as well. Right now, man, Orangepest, this game has been completely turned around. Kpen in a dominating position. He's maintaining both of these Sherman tanks. One of them is very low, mind you. But, okay, ends up falling, so that's a good pick-off here for the Axis player.
A fantastic thing about the Fusiliers, Tenchi, if you actually go to Orangepest's vision, look at how much sight range these Fusiliers are giving. It is insane. They actually were scouting for the Raketen, which allowed the Raketen to fire at max range. I believe they get better sight bonus at what of their veterancy levels, but they just have good sight regardless at what veterancy they are. So it's another underrated thing about them is they do give you excellent vision.
So they sort of work like the Jaeger infantry in that sense, like great reconnaissance troops.
Yeah, there's a lot of overlap between them.
But, you know, again, coming back to what we were talking about a little earlier, honestly, in this game, that the only thing that he really gets out of this commander that he picked, the breakthrough, is basically those Fusiliers. And, you know, I still feel that he would have been much better off with perhaps going for special operations, where you get the Command Panther, which would have been really powerful. I mean, he would have had that on the field by now. Now he's starting the production of his first Panther. But has he lost too much, like in terms of the ground forces that he's got, or rather, sorry, the infantry forces that he had? Because sure, he's adding in a second Panzer Fusilier squad, but he's nothing that can repair, and no additional AT support past these two Raketenwerfers, though very immobile.
Yeah, he will have his mechanized upgrade, so he has the repairs from that, but it's not too good. You want to have more than that, of course, and no sweeper again is still a problem. Sooner or later, demo. Oh, this Panzer II, it's right next to the squad of the conscripts. Nade will come through. P4, the Sherman on the chase. Panzer II goes down. Oh dear.
This is not where you want to be if you are Orangepest, man. Like, he had such a strong start in the early game. He denied the fuel for the longest time. We didn't see a T-70, nothing of the sorts for Kpen. And now, you know, with the massive momentum turnaround that he got with these two Shermans, and of course killing the Sukasafus as well, this game has been completely turned on its head, because now we have Kpen threatening that triple cap. Only now is Orangepest going to be able to contest that.
So this is interesting. Orangepest actually built a squad of Volks. I don't know why he would do that rather than just getting another squad of Fusiliers. He even has the option. Yeah, he Sturms. He even has the option for Obers. He has so many choices of infantry. And he goes for Volks. And a lot of times you see players go for Volks over Obers in the late game. And a lot of the reason is because the fact that they're more durable as a 5-man squad against explosives, not against small arms though. And they have the Faust, which is very important. But the thing is Fusiliers have the AT grenades, which are just as good. Maybe with less range. But also they're 6-man squads, so they're even more durable. So it feels like there's no reason to go Volks over them. But this Panther actually hits a mine, but that's going to be a bait for the Sherman. Panzerfaust comes through. Raketen was in position. Can the Panther get one more shot?
It's rolling on forward. Both of these vehicles so damaged by those mines, and the Faust, of course. But on the right hand side, where is that second Sherman? Okay, he's got another Sherman on the field. It's still in the middle of town. Not going to be able to follow up on that, but he will at least maintain the M4C with the damaged engine. But a good flank coming in here right now from Orangepest with these Panzer Fusiliers starting to do work on these Dushkas. Oh, that grenade range is insane.
Those grenades are actually pretty bad though, the Fusilier grenades. If that was a lot of other squads, that nade would have wiped it, because the thing is he flanks the cover, and what that means is that there's no damage reduction. The heavy cover only reduces damage if it's from, you know, the frontal direction of the cover. And so if you can flank a squad, they're very clumped up, the grenade will just murder them, and yet the Dushka squad actually survived that one. But it was a nice try there with the Fusiliers. He forced the squad off. We could have actually seen the merge be used to keep the Dushka on the field rather than retreating it.
Yeah, that's a good point. One of the things that I keep forgetting about conscripts, they can use them for, like, just gives them that extra bit of utility to be able to, you know, especially stay around in the late game, because they just, as you were talking about before, they fall off so quickly versus as Fusiliers with, as we see, Vet 3. He's got these Vet 4 Volks Grenadier squads as well. The Panther's now been repaired, by the way. Right inside, unvetted Volks, they're not gonna have... Yeah, they need to get out of there before that Sherman gun wipes them. But at the same time, as the Panther is finished up, he's darting on forward. This is a little bit of an overextension. Double 80 nades could spell a disaster here for this Panther, because then, as again you were talking about, these Shermans could just easily gangbang it to bits. And now with a third Sherman on the field, I mean, that's actually looking like a very viable option here, but no second AT grenade does go down, so there's no snare for this one, but he might still be able to just pull it off with the sheer amount of firepower that he has on the field right now.
There actually was 2 AT grenades, but the Panther requires 3 for it to be taken below the 75% threshold. Yeah, because it has to be below 75% health. No, it's been like that for ages. Same with Tigers. You need 3 or 4. Just nail that one. Okay, this Panther is going deep right in front of 2 Shermans, 3 Shermans and a Zis gun. Oh my god, this Panther, he has to run for his life. He is on a road, so he can do just that. But that was probably the quickest I've seen a Panther drop, in a 1v1 at least.
he needs to get out of there. Very low on HP. Panzer Fusiliers at Vet 4. Going to be providing excellent vision and stuff. No 18 grenade goes down, so he doesn't get the snare up on the Sherman. Bear in mind the Raketas are also turned more defensively, so not going to be able to support these Panzer Fusiliers. They're forced to get out of there. VP's right now 1 for each player, so there's not going to be any bleed right now. Orangepest still with that advantage, but Kpen has done a great job coming back into this one.
That was very lucky, Kpen there, that all his tanks penned. The Shermans actually have really bad penetration versus Panthers and Tigers. So for the Shermans to work, you pretty much have to dive after something and try and surround, get that rear armor and just stay there as close as possible, because the penetration is better the closer you are. At max range, trading as a slugfest, you won't trade very well, even if you have the numbers advantage. So lucky break there for Kpen, but he didn't actually kill anyway, and now the Panther is repaired so fast. A new squad of the Sturm Pioneers with the mechanized mechanics, and the Panther looking to get some more work done, just needs to be a little bit more careful of that Zis gun.
And now he's max ranging it with this, with the advantage that he has that with that 75mm gun, so this is how he needs to be playing it. However, I mean, the flanks are wide open. No AT on the left hand side, and I don't think I've seen too many mines. There is some support with those Raketans, and now with the cloak as well. Gonna give him a little bit more traction there. Panzer Fusiliers again move up towards the center of the map.
Oh, no dodge.
It was unfortunate. The grenade though, single man, and he is of course going to go down. Vet 5, Panzer Fusiliers, Callum. These guys are crazy with the damage output that they can dish out versus infantry, as you can see. Already wiping a model there.
And because they're 6-man squads, he doesn't have to worry about the Sherman just one-shotting them. Whereas with Obers and Fallschirmjägers, they're incredibly good squads, but they can just get one-shot so easily. But anyway, 3 Shermans and a Zist gun versus this single Panther. Panther versus the world. You will have a Raketan to back him up in case the Shermans do dive after him.
On the left side, I just want to point out, I took a look there, and a Vet 3 conscript squad in green cover retreated from that like half a HP 3-man Sturmpire squad. So I think that was just a bit of a mistake there from Kpen, autopiloting, not really paying attention to the details of that engagement. As Orangepest is pushing up forward, he's going to be falling back with these Panzer Fusiliers, which will mean that he's going to be losing some of that long-range DPS. But I mean, at least he's going to be trying to push away this 80 gun. The Panther is still in a pretty forward position as well, so it's ready to go on the support here versus these Shermans. Kpen is actually starting to spread himself quite thin, in all honesty.
The Panther keeps driving into the arc of the Zis gun. The Zis gun isn't moving, it's covering the VP, and it's given the Zis gun a lot of veterancy. It's actually Vet 2 already. Panther has to back away and get repaired, and this Panther needs to be at full health, because otherwise Kpen can pull the trigger and dive after it with his convoy of Shermans. So perhaps it's worth Orangepest going for the flanks, but the problem is the Panther, it has to stay near the Raketans more than the Shermans have to stay near the Zis. So I think that's the paradox that Orangepest is in, is I can't go middle because of Zisgun, but I can't go flanks because of 3 Shermans with the roads. Losing that Stuka,
well,
yeah, the Dushkas. Losing that Stuka was, I think, the biggest game changer here, because now he just can't deal with these support weapons. Whether it's the Zis or the Dushkas, he has nothing to counter them, apart from flanks with infantry, but he can't flank infantry when there's so many Shermans on the field, so he definitely should have been more careful with the Stuka. The problem there was he actually revealed the Stuka by firing it after the Raketans retreated. If the Raketans were on the field and the Stuka was revealed, it would have been okay, but because the Raketans were mid-retreat as it fired, it gave Kpen the vision and the knowledge to know he could dive after it, and it was completely safe.
Do you think that perhaps adding in a second Panther here would be something that could work out here for Orangepest? Because I mean, he's starting to bank a lot of fuel. He wants to go up to that King Tiger, obviously. But I still think that, you know, the mobility and the long range advantage that you get with double Panthers would make quick work of these Shermans. Because even though he has the numbers advantage, just the sheer firepower that you get with those 75 mils, they just way outgun these Sherman tanks.
You're right in terms of the Panther is certainly better versus medium tanks versus the King Tiger, but the King Tiger is better versus infantry and especially versus the AT gun. And right now, the real problem seems to be the Zis gun, the Jishkas, and having the King Tiger, he can just right click in the middle of the map, drive up to the Zis gun, 1v1 it head on, and then just back away into the Raketans and the Panther. So I feel like the King Tiger is the better choice, just because the support weapons are the real problem here, more so than the Shermans.
Okay, you know, I can kind of see that. It's nice, you know, to have someone more experienced in the game to sort of clarify these things. But I think that's one of the things about company heroes that I can enjoy a little bit, you know, that there's always room for speculation over what would be the better option depending on the circumstances. However, we do have a Sherman on the right hand side, oh so low, misses a shot, that would have been so key. He's going to be making it around this corner. The Panther gives chase. Okay, so miscontrol it from Kpen. So main gun destroyed, just a glancing hit, still not getting the kill, and he's forced to back out of there. That has to be so frustrating as an Axis player, honestly, man. You get the Sherman there, you've got him dead to rights, but not able to follow up here. Dushka slightly out of position with the arc of fire on the left-hand side, so he's not going to be able to stay there for long. Grenade goes down. Dushka actually idling a little bit there, but Orangepest still holds on. A vet 5 squad moves into the center. You need to get out of there, man. Being overzealous. Want to point out, by the way, that Orangepest did actually opt in to go for that second Panther tank.
Oh, you did? Okay, yeah. So that's the thing about Company of Heroes as well, is it's less about the unit choice and more about how you use them. So with the double Panther, he can't really trade versus the Zis gun head up, but he can go for a flank, force the Shermans to try and collapse upon the Panther. But if there's 2 Panthers, 2v3 is a pretty good fight for them. So the King Tiger would have been better for the frontal assault through the middle with the Zis gun, but on the side, the Panther would be better. So has he actually revealed the second Panther? Because he has revealed it, yeah, it has some veterancy. I feel like he would have been better off keeping it hidden and then try to overextend in air quotation marks with the first Panther, try and bait out the Shermans to collapse upon it, and the second Panther shows up. We'll see if he tries to do that or if he just goes on the aggressive side. There's this gun, he can probably just circle it and just go through it very quickly. He can't fight in front of it, he has to go through it and around it.
You need to be careful, by the way, with all of these conscripts in support of these tanks, because those 80 grenades, you know, he gets a snare off then. Like you said, could be very easy here on the other way, from the other direction of this fight, to just collapse upon one of those snared vehicles. When you have one of these tanks that you get the snare off, especially on a map like this where you have a lot of buildings, a lot of things to as line of sight blocks and stuff like that, it can be very scary. You're like a bitten by a shark floating in the water. That's the snare, and here we go, rear armor facing towards that Sherman, and he's just going to go around this building, easy peasy. This is going to be clean up. Rear arm hit, one more shot will be able to do it. He turns the Roketten, but it's not going to be enough.
Oh, he actually may kill the Sherman here.
What?
Needs one more shot for the Panther to go down.
He gets it.
Wow.
That should not have happened, but with the 80 grenade, it does finish the job. Finally, the other Panther though is at half health, so he needs to get out of there as well. That was ended up being very costly. Going in favor of Kpen though, because an M40 Sherman, of course, obviously cheaper than a Panther tank.
Well, that was a Vet 2 Panther as well, and the Panther gets armored skirts at Vet 2, and it gets even harder to kill. The penetration for the Sherman versus the Panther is just absolutely pathetic when the armored skirts come on the field, but getting caught, pathing, duking out around the building.
These mines.
Oh, he's so close to it. Actually, he detonates it right in front of this Vet 2 Sherman. He's going to go for the kill here. AT grenade will penetrate this one as well. The Panther goes down. Orangepest out of armor. There's nothing left. And the Shermans now have free reign to murder these squads. GG. Kpen takes this one in an absolutely crazy turnaround.
Yeah, man. The start that we saw there from Orangepest, there wasn't anything Kpen could do, man. He was down in both fuels. In terms of the VPs as well, he was plummeting. But once those first Dushkas hit the field, that's when he started to slowly sort of claw his way back into this game. And with the first M4C Shermans, when he got 2 of them, he emphasized that. And like you mentioned there before, one of the big game changers, something that really hurt Orangepest was the fact that he couldn't deal with any of these support weapons efficiently after losing that Stuka Sifus. So Kpen, man, honestly, like he was looking very, very far behind in this game, but through patience he came back.
Yeah, that was impressive because a lot of players would just GG at that stage. I think the number one, the stem of where it all went wrong was lack of mines. Because of how wide and open this map is and of all the roads, it's incredibly hard to rely on AT guns or, you know, especially Raketans of all AT guns against things like the M46 Sherman, which is just so fast and so mobile. So that's where mines really come into play, to try and discourage or at least to destroy the Sherman's mobility, to get it caught out of position and collapse upon it. But Orangepest, he pretty much had no mines, and that allowed the Sherman to just dive after the Stuka, take that one out, and that's kind of where it all went wrong. Losing that Panther there was unfortunate because he certainly got caught out pathing on the building. I mean, it's definitely the player's mistake as well. The pathing is obnoxious. There are ways to play around it, so you can't always use that as an excuse, but it is unfortunate because we've all been there. We've all lost tanks to just ridiculous pathing, and it's always quite frustrating. But I feel like that certainly could have been a lot better played by Orangepest. Same with his Panzer II got taken out. Wasn't too good unit preservation, at least with the vehicles. I wanted to finish up my rant about the demos. So the best way to play around demos is, if you think there might be demos, is you capture the point from an out of the way angle. Say if the VP is facing your base, you cap the VP from the other side, because it's much less likely to have a demo on that side. Or you can just have the one squad, that like one squad member has his foot in the point, so you don't have the entire squad inside of the capping circle like we saw earlier. But yeah, demos are ridiculous. What I would love to do for demos, which I did in my mod, what I did is I made it so they only damaged 3 models per squad, so they wouldn't squad wipe, but they did a massive AoE pin. So they're less about nuking individual squads, but still very good versus blobs because of the mass AoE pin, and they still have good AoE, they just can't kill more than 3 models per squad. So hopefully we can touch demos next patch, but certainly this patch is limited in scope to vehicles, light vehicles, and a few other things.
Well, anyway, guys, that's going to wrap it up here. So, well played by both players. I think you covered basically most of the post-game analysis there. So, anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit that sub button to support Callum and what he does. You can also check out his Patreon, where you can directly support him as well with that mad Skrilla. Otherwise, that's going to be all from us here.
Thanks. Yeah, that was a great game, and it's been an absolute honor and a privilege to cast with you, Tenchi. It's always a blast.